So if you remember our last cold open that we had, what did we talk about?
Arizona losing to
FIU.
and you need to do some push-ups.
Not push-ups.
Oh, jumping jacks. Okay, let's watch the jumping jacks. Okay, here. Let me
move the camera up. So this is my punishment. I have to do 2 jumping jacks. We shuck on it, right?
Yeah, I thought it was 4, but okay.
4? That's a lot.
You ready? Uh-huh. Oh, wow. That's a sports athlete right there. Yeah, okay, he did 4. There you go.
Yeah,
good job.
For the road.
Okay, good job, extra. Okay, there's your cold open, people.
For the win!
Hello and welcome back to the Eastman Sport Report, your father's son, coach player podcast about the Sacramento Kings and the San Francisco 49ers. I'm your host, Max Eastman, joined once again by my co-host, Steven Eastman.
Hello there, Max. Nice shirt. You got a Niners shirt on?
I do have a Niners shirt on.
I got a Sacramento Kings. We're doing more kind of generic, no players' jerseys, just, teams today. Okay. So we're going to start off our podcast talking about the Sacramento Kings today.
Even though neither of us really want to talk about the Kings, but we've been talking about the Kings for 3 years.
Yes, this is our third season that we're talking
2.5 years ish.
Yeah, and this is the one that's probably the most
agonizing.
Anyway, okay, we do love the Kings, and we're kind of interested in what the rest of the season is. The Kings are out of season now. Their record right now is 19-55 as we record this on a Saturday afternoon. They are playing the Atlanta Hawks tonight, so
this episode will probably come out after that.
Yes.
I'm assuming they're going to lose, but if they win, please don't win. I'd be very, very sad.
So if you kind of look at where they're at right now, they're the 4th worst record in the league. And you look at the rest of their schedule. I'm going to kind of walk through the last 8 games in their schedule, and I'm going to break it into not only who they're playing, but where's that team at? And we're going to break it into as like they're a playoff team, as in right now today on Saturday, they're a top 12, so it'd be top 6 in each conference. Or they're one of the 8, 4 in each conference, play-in terms, or they're the bottom 10, a tank team. So as we go through this, like tonight, they play Atlanta. Atlanta is 6th in the East, so they are a they're a playoff team right now. They're not guaranteed, but they're a playoff team right now.
Yeah.
So they play a playoff team, Atlanta. Tomorrow night, they play Brooklyn. That's a tank team.
Yeah.
They have 17 wins. They're right there with the Kings, record-wise. They play Toronto. Toronto is, I'm pretty sure, Toronto is a playoff team. They're 5th. Then they play New Orleans. New Orleans is a tank in my brackets, but they don't have their first-round pick. So are they a tank but not tank team? They're a tanking but not very good. Anyway, I don't think they want to lose.
Definitely.
They don't want to lose. They're playing the Clippers. The Clippers, I think, are a play-in team. They're 8th in the West. Then they're playing Golden State 2 games back-to-back, who are 10th and only a half a game behind Portland. And then they have, after the 2 games against Golden State, they finish out with Portland. So Golden State and Portland are fighting with the 9-10 thing, and they played Golden State and Portland, and both those teams are actually kind of close to the Clippers in the 8th seed. So they want to get up to the 8th seed, and Golden State plays the Kings twice, and Portland once too. So at that point of the season, they want to win. So as you're looking at the 8 opponents, there's only one that would benefit from losing, who is Brooklyn. We just beat Brooklyn on the 22nd. 126-2022 is a home game. That was actually a close game. Okay. But Brooklyn is interesting because Brooklyn also goes and plays some of the bottom tanking teams. People don't care about the dates, but they do play the Indiana Pacers and Washington Wizards, who are all down there in the bottom 4. So Brooklyn plays the most bottom feeder teams.
The Kings do play the Nets as the second night of a back-to-back because they're playing the Nets Sunday, March 29th, and today is Saturday, March 28th, where they're playing the Hawks, like we said before.
And so it'll be a less than 24-hour turnaround because they play at 4:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Eastern time, and then they turn around and play 3 o'clock Pacific or 6 o'clock, so it's an hour and a half earlier. So it's only 22 and a half hours later. So maybe the Kings actually, like, they've had some games recently where they've only had 8 players play. And they actually had to see here. They got like another Daquan because they have Daquan Plowden, and he's playing pretty good actually. So they got Daquan Jeffries on a 10-day hardship case because they have too many players that are injured right now. Like I think for tonight's game against Atlanta, I think I did hear it. 2 people came back and are available. I think it's Neat Clifford and somebody else who are available to play again. But it is pretty much a walking wounded with the Sacramento Kings. And so as you look toward the rest of the season, it's my first stat line is how good is Max playing, Maxine Renault. Not only is he on my fantasy team and I'm in the fantasy playoffs, I want to know how Max is doing. That's probably the best. If I was to say if there's one highlight from the season is the number 42 pick I think he has a really good chance of being first team all rookie.
Definitely. If I was, I'm not biased at all. If I was up to choosing, I definitely choose Maxine Renault up there. I've seen some mock redrafts of this year's draft, and it said that I think it was Cooper Flagg would have gone to the Mavericks, and Con Knuppel would have gone second overall instead of I think he went fourth. But then I think they jumped Maxine Renault all the way up to 5th overall.
Wow.
From being 42nd.
Yeah, and so you look at NBA.com, their rookie ladder. Number 1 is Con Knuppel. Number 2, Cooper Flagg. Number 3 is VJ Edgecombe, which I think he was the 3rd overall pick to the 76ers. Yeah, there it is right there. He was draft pick number 3. He's playing really good. He's another guy on my fantasy team. I picked up some records. Dylan Harper of the Spurs, like they need another really good player. Their number is number 4th, and Maxine Renault is number 5 in theirs. And I think I actually heard this guy being interviewed on a local radio station here in Sacramento, and he says, because the first team all rookie has nothing to do with positions, he's like, yes, my top 5 is who I would vote for first team all rookie. So Maxine Renault definitely has a very good chance of being first or second. I think he's leaning toward being second or first team because if you look at the next ones, is Ace Bailey having a better season than Maxine Renault? Probably not. I would say not. Cedric Coward of the Memphis Grizzlies. Sorry, I don't know who he is. Derek Queen. Now he's actually had a decent season, but he hasn't been doing as good as he had last year.
I don't think they've had multiple, 20-point games, even like 2 or 3 30-point games like how Max has.
Yeah, Max had back-to-back 30-point games recently, which was the first time in Sacramento Kings history since who did that? Was that Lionel Simmons? Or maybe he joined the list with, I think it was Walt Williams and Lionel Simmons.
For rookies?
For rookies to have back-to-back 30-point games. And that was back in like the early 90s when I was in high school and the Kings were bad every year.
Like now?
Well, yeah, kind of. But we actually just had the playoff season, so anyway.
Just had it.
I
was a freshman when that happened, and now I'm a senior.
Yeah, so that was that was one first season.
Everything's been downhill.
Was that your sophomore?
Freshman year.
That was freshman year?
Yeah, because it's been 2.5 years.
That's right. It was 23. We went to the playoffs in 23. Fond memories.
Great memories.
Okay, so that's what the Kings' schedule is. Other interesting notes to talk about the Kings from their, let's call it draft lottery odds situation. Yes. So the Kings right now, so the question is, will the Kings... Brooklyn. Will Brooklyn, because they're playing Indiana and Washington and Sacramento, could they win enough games to surpass the Kings? I don't know if the Kings will win enough to catch up to Utah, which Utah right now has 21. We have 19 wins. So we have a 2-game lead over Utah. Not gone into Utah's schedule to see how easy or tough that is. But let's say the Kings stay at 4. As the 4th worst record, you have odds where the Kings could land up anywhere between the 1st pick to the 8th pick. I'm not going to walk through everything on it, but basically the 1st through 4, they have roughly between 11 and 12% chance of getting the 1, 2, 3, 4 pick.
Yep.
The 5th pick, they can get a 7% chance. The 6th pick is actually their highest odds to get the 6th pick at 25%. A 7th pick is roughly 17, and then 8th pick is a 2.2% chance. If the Kings move up to the 3rd, so if Brooklyn overtakes them for some awesome reason, then the Kings would have their their highest odds would be the 6th pick, with a 26% chance of getting the 6th pick. But it does up their odds because the first 3 are tied with 14%. The Kings is 4th. We get a 12.5% chance of getting the first overall pick. So if you get to that, then you're equal odds from 1, 2, 3, 4. As the 3rd one, then you get a roughly 15% chance of being the 5th pick, 26, and then a 7% chance of being the 7th pick. That would be really bad. After we suffered through this season, the Kings get the 7th pick.
Yeah, that'd be rough.
So that's where we are with that. Would you like to? Do you have the tankathon up to sim the lottery?
I do have it.
Let's sim the lottery and see where
the
Kings end up today.
First roll of the day. Okay, so the Kings keep the 4th pick.
Okay.
The Wizards move up to get the 1 pick.
Okay.
This team who gets the 2nd pick is the Memphis Grizzlies, who move up 5 spots to get Darren Peterson.
They were 7.
The Pacers drop down to get 3rd, and then the Nets get the 5th pick.
Okay.
For this,
the way that Indiana has intentionally tanked, if they fall out of the top 4, they lose their pick if it goes to 5. I so want that to happen. And based on the odds, they have a 48% chance of Indiana getting the 5th pick right now. I so want that to happen. Just because they were tanking unethically, in my opinion. As in, they got fined. And then Utah also got fined a lot. I don't want them to go up either. I'm kind of okay with Brooklyn and Washington. Like, I would love the Kings to get number 1, and then maybe Brooklyn and Washington get 2 and 3 because they're East Coast teams. And
okay, it took me 8 simulations to have the Kings get the number 1 pick. And actually, that was just 8 simulations to actually have them move up a spot as well. And according to Tankathon, it says that with the number 1 pick, the Kings would select AJ DeBonsa. That's what I would personally do because I have some sort of concerns about Darren Peterson and his willingness to play.
Well, did you hear about some of the Darren Peterson stuff?
Yes. So basically, Darren Peterson, of what I've heard, I'm not saying this is what's happening. It's what we have heard, is that at one point he had full body. What is it?
Cramps?
Cramps.
Yeah,
full body cramp, where every single muscle in your body is cramping. First of all, horrifying thing.
That does not sound very fun. And that was like at the beginning of the season because the Kansas coach loves to push his players. Okay,
and I think he went to the hospital because of it. Because if you're full body cramping, you're like, what is going on, right? So it's just like, so basically, what the assumption is that anytime he gets at least sort of tired or like feels sort of soreness in his body during a game, he's like, Coach, pull me, because he's like, I don't want to get full body cramps again.
Yeah, so like some of the games where he comes out in the second half, he looks over and he's like, the cramping is starting, and he's like, I don't want to push through it. And I've heard some people say that, like, no, he is a gym rat. He loves to play the game of basketball. So
you just had a traumatic experience.
Yeah. So, I heard about that article too, and stuff like that. So, but AJ DeBonsa just had a really good season.
Yes.
And so, like, you can't. It's really hard to not pick him. Cameron Boozer is probably going to be the 3rd pick no matter what happens.
Yeah.
I've heard some people not liking Caleb Wilson, and there's some people saying Caleb Wilson could be the best player out of this. And then as you go down the pick, we'll dive into this more. But Kingston Fleming's from Houston. I think Houston just lost in the tournament. Darius Acuff lost this weekend in the tournament. I've heard lots of really good things about Darius Acuff. Keaton Wagler of Illinois, they're still going. Side note about Keaton Wagler of Illinois, he's playing with Andre Stojakovic, Peja's son. So that was fun to watch. Peja had Peja's son. Andrea had I think it's Andrea. Is it Andre?
I have no idea. I'll check for you.
Andre Stojakovic. I hope I'm saying it. I think it's Andre. Had a really good game the other night in the tournament. We watched part of that. We were flipping back and forth between the two games because they all had top 10 picks on the team. That was kind of fun.
Pretty sure it's Andre.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where the Kings are with that. Now, next thing we'd love to cover on the podcast is, since we're talking about tanking, it's been a lot of the news recently about tanking. So There was originally about a month ago 7 options to fix tanking that were kind of floated out there. Now, I also wrote down one from other ones I've got from like a local media, Matt George, who threw one out there. And then there was 3 new proposals that came out of the NBA Board of Governors meeting. So, Max, my plan is I want to walk quickly through the original 7 and then cover more in depth the which one we like of the 3 new ones. Okay, so I'm going to read them because I have them in front of me, and you tell me which one you like, Max, of the top 7. Okay? So I'll kind of just run through them here. I might give a little bit of commentary, and if you want to jump in after each one, maybe just briefly, though, okay? Okay, one option. Lottery odds are allocated based on 2-year records. The WNBA does this. So you take your last 2 years, and you average them together. So the Kings last year had, 37 wins we had last year, something like that?
So the Pacers who went to the finals would be heavily punished.
Because So like when Golden State lost, or like Tim Duncan and the Spurs when they lost because everybody was injured one year and they go down, it takes a 2-year span. So if you were in the playoffs last year and everybody's just injured, that's going to penalize you for your draft lottery odds. But if you're really, really bad for 2 years in a row, you're going to be really, really bad.
Okay.
So it's not a bad idea. WNBA does that right now. Okay, teams can't pick in the top 4 the season after making the conference finals. That sounds like directly against the Indiana Pacers. I don't know if that one's going to fly. That seems like directly against the Pacers.
Okay.
No longer allowing a team to pick in the top 4 in consecutive years.
I personally hate that rule.
Because especially as the Kings are about to tank.
And seeing past lotteries of the Washington Wizards, screw them. You're going to suck forever now.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure I like that one, but that was going to throw it out here. This one is kind of good, but anyway, we'll talk about it here. Kind of good, but kind of not. Lottery odds are freezing at the trade deadline or some other date like that. I like that one from the aspect of you think most teams are trying up to the trade deadline, and then you determine whether after the trade deadline, hey, are you tanking or are you not, as in you sell off your players or not. See if you can get something out of the Kings. Tried. They gave away Keon Ellis and
Dennis Schroeder
for DeAndre Hunter, which Hunter then had to get his eye scraped, so he's out for the rest of the season. Curious to see how good he fits on the Kings. But anyway, lottery odds are froze at the trade deadline. Some people are saying that would just move tanking earlier in the season.
I agree.
And then people would then after the trade deadline they would try to win again, like say the Utah Jazz are trying to.
I would say that in my opinion, it would just make the rest of the entire season a slog because you would have all these players and you're like, if we want a good draft pick, we're just not going to play good. And then after that, you've already secured your good draft pick. But if you already secured your good draft pick, how the heck are you going to get in the playoffs now? So why would you not just sit all your players so they don't have the possibility of getting injured or tear their ACL that could affect next season when you actually try to be good?
So I don't know. At first, you liked that idea, but I don't think it's going to happen. So anyway, first-round picks can only be protected top 4 or top 14. I think this is going to happen, and I actually think it's going to be top 4. I think it's going to be top 14 because what's happening at the Indiana Pacers right now, they're tanking so hard because they want to keep their pick. The Utah Jazz, they're tanking so hard because I think their pick is top 8 protected. So, they're taking so hard that they don't want to lose their first-round pick, and that this is not the only time it's happened, but I think that's going to happen. I think this is going to happen either way. Okay, next one. We're on number 6 out of 7 here. The lottery is extended to include all play-in teams. Hint, hint, that'll be coming on the next 3 proposals. Interesting, okay? And then you flatten the lottery odds for all lottery teams. You flatten the odds for the lottery teams. Okay, so that's the original 7. And as I'm reading through them, now you're like, okay, that was the original. Now let's go to what the NBA has for the new 3, the kind of, I don't know if these are the final 3, but this is what was presented at the anti-taking concepts to the Board of Governors this week, to Wednesday, in the New York meetings type of thing. So these are a little complicated, so please pay attention.
I do want to say that if I sniffle during any of this, I do have really bad allergies, so I'm sorry to any audio listeners out there if you hear me sniff.
Okay.
I'm
sorry. Out of the original 7, is there anyone that you're like, hey, that one's better? Just is there one that you like?
I mean, I sort of like the top 14, top 4 protected rule, but it's like I personally don't think you should really change that much for tanking. I think it should be more of a, I think it's hard to punish tanking. I feel like it should be more of a, if they rest players for a certain amount of days or something. But I don't know how you would determine that. So what are your ideas?
Yeah. So anyway, like the Utah Jazz were playing a game last week, or was it a week ago, and they started a guy 6'7" as their center. And Kyle Filipakowski, who's a center, was literally put on the thing and listed as rest. Like, why are you resting your only center? Like, the Utah Jazz are just so blatantly losing that I don't want them to jump up in the lottery. Okay, first of the 3 proposals that were proposed this week. Number 1. This is 18 teams are in the lottery. So you have the 14 teams the 10 that missed the play-in plus all 8 that qualify for the play-in. So you will have playoff teams in the lottery. 18 teams in the lottery. Okay? The bottom 10 teams will have an equal 8% chance to move the lottery. So you're anywhere between 1 and 10. It's an equal 8% chance to move up to the top, move up in the lottery. The remaining 20% odds go to teams 11 through 18, which are the play-in teams. So I think that's roughly, if you take 8 divided by 20, is that like a 4%, I think, odds? 4 times 8? Yeah, no. 4 times 5 is 20. It's like a 3% chance? Somewhere in that range. I'm not doing math off the top of my head. Okay, so you take the 20% and you split it over 8. Actually, it's like a 2 point something.
I already hate the sound of this.
Okay, so that's proposal number 1. Okay, would you like to go to number 2?
Sure.
Second proposal is 22 teams are in the lottery. Okay, that's the original bottom 10 who missed the play-in tournament. That is the next 8 who qualify for the play-in tournament, plus the 4 teams that lose in the first round.
So
will all be included in the lottery. Oh, sorry. Go back to number 1. Number 1, back when it's 18 and they're all done with, all 18 spots will be drawn as part of the lottery. So if you are the worst team, like the Kings are at 4th, they could pick 16th or something like that. Okay, back to number 2. Number 2 is 22 teams. Again, you got the 22 I walked through of who it is. Their rankings would be based upon their records for 2 seasons. This is where the 2-season rule comes in. Now, the other part is there's going to be a minimum bottom. So, like, if you look at the record right now and you're saying that the Indiana Pacers have 16 wins, if the minimum is 25 or 20, let's go with 25. If you have 25, your record for the average between the two jumps at 16, will jump to 25. Now, with this one, there's no incentive to win above 25, whatever that minimum is. But as you're at the Indiana Pacers or Brooklyn Nets, even Memphis Grizzlies, who are at 24 wins, even the Pelicans at 25, you have no incentive to lose, to go win less than 25 games. Because at 25, everybody below that just gets moved up, and then you take your 2 seasons averages, you average together, but it'll be used as 25 if you're less than 25.
Is that the 3 of them?
That's number 2.
That's just number 2, and there's going to be 22 teams?
Yes, and then you take the 2 records, and I think under this system, there would be a floor. So if you're the worst team in the league, you couldn't fall below the 10th pick.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Or maybe that one, sorry, there's so many details in this one. That one might only picking the first 5. You pick the first 5. The top 4 spots, only the top 4 spots to be drawn in the lottery. That's number 2. Number 2 is only the top 4. Okay, you got that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry, these are really long and complicated. That's number 2. 22 teams averaged over 2 years. There would be a floor, and then you average it together, get your spot in the lottery, similar to the lottery odds you have this year, and the top 4 would be drawn for the lottery. Okay. Third proposal is called a 5x5. But as I've read this thing, I don't understand what the 5x5 means. But it's called the 5x5 proposal. Okay. It goes back to the 18 teams from the first concept. So again, the 10 who don't make the play-in, the 8 that do make the play-in. Okay.
I hate every moment of this.
Okay. The teams with the 5 worst records would all have the same odds. Okay. So the Kings at 4, there's no incentive for them to lose any farther. It's just that. From there, they would be descending from 5 all the way down, and there would be lottery drawn for each of the top 5 picks in the draft. After those 5 picks are selected, there would be another lottery drawing for the remaining 13 teams, which... I read this, and I'm like, wait a minute. So you're doing the first 5 picks are selected, but then they do a second lottery for the remaining 13 picks. If any of those teams with the 5 worst records don't land in one of the top 5 spots, like this year would be Indiana, Brooklyn, Washington Kings, they'd all move back to 5th, 6th. This was when they couldn't go any farther than 10th. Okay, so that's the basics of 1, 2, and 3. These are super complicated, and as you can see, the NBA wants to put these in place by May for next season. So it doesn't affect this year's draft lottery, but they want to put it in by vote on these by May so that people know what's coming next year so they can plan accordingly as you go through this. So now these 3 proposals are probably not going to be as is. They might mix and match as they get to the end, but these are the 3 proposals where you're looking at like 18 or 22 teams coming in. Now, getting back to those 7 things I talked about, records over 2 years is another thing they're bringing in. Maybe a minimum win threshold where if you don't get above this minimum win threshold, it doesn't matter.
My question for the NBA, my question for Adam Silver. Move my mic. Why is this a problem now? Why? For the past how many years were all of these teams allowed to tank and make good teams? Like the Spurs were able to tank and make a good team with Victor Wembanyama.
Detroit Pistons
were able to tank and make a good team with Cade Cunningham. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Boston Celtics. Who else can I say? The Houston Rockets. The
Cleveland Cavaliers.
The Boston Celtics for a little bit as well. How many of these teams are able to tank?
You can even say Houston's in there too.
I did say Houston.
Oh, sorry.
But it's just like all of these teams
Uh-huh.
have been allowed to tank for the entirety of the NBA history. And all of a sudden, now you're like,
Because the Kings are down there.
wait a minute. I think teams should be punished for this. For losing the thing that no one else has a problem with in any other major sports league. Like MLB has a draft lottery. None of this shenanigans is happening. The NFL doesn't even have draft lottery. The NHL has a draft lottery. The WNHL has a weird other thing of when you get eliminated from the playoffs. That's not the point here. But the point is, who cares?
Okay, because the Utah Jazz and the Indiana Pacers and even the Washington Wizards, let's Washington Wizards trade for Trae Young, Anthony Davis, and say, yeah, go sit down. That's why. Now, I'm not saying I agree with it.
No.
Because the Kings are finally bad, and the whole point was, Scott Perry earlier in the season we're going to do this the right way, which the right way means you're going to try to be bad for 3 or so seasons, as many as possible, to get as many good young assets as possible, and then let them grow together and not short-circuit the whole thing. Like, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do. And now the NBA is like, yeah, no, don't do that.
So I think the only reason why this is happening is money. Can I tell you why?
Oh, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, so you want to know why they want to expand these out? Because all the good teams, there's already questions of them rigging the lottery. Why would you not rig the lottery for the Golden State Warriors, for the Dallas, so Steph can get a final piece so he can go and chase another ring for the one of the most expensive franchises in all of sports, the Golden State Warriors. If the Lakers go out and lose the first round, the Lakers suddenly with LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, they have the chance to go get AJ DeBonsa, Cameron Boozer, whoever's in the next year's draft. And it's just like, the answer is money. And the other answer is, this is a little conspiracy theory of me, but I'm fine with that. Betting companies. Betting companies hate when teams are bad. Because when teams are bad, you don't want to bet on their games. right?
Yeah, I do think
If you're a Lakers fan, you start getting excited when the Lakers are good because if the Lakers are good, you want to spend more money on Lakers type stuff, which includes betting on if they're doing good or not. And all these sports betting companies now have affiliations with the NBA. So they are able to directly talk to Adam Silver, directly talk to the board of governors, and they're saying, why are these teams being so bad? We have to punish these teams for being bad. You know what's going to happen for trying to punish these teams for being bad? It's just going to make things worse.
Yeah, you're going to have teams, like it could be the Sacramento Kings, that are bad for 10, 17 years.
And it's just like, what do we do?
And we're always getting to pick number 7. Like, how many years did you go back? We got like pick 5, pick 7, pick 8. Like, we just had in our history where we had the worst record and we got the 4th pick in Tyreek Evans. The next year, we got the 5th pick and got DeMarcus Cousins. Okay, then the next year we had the 5th pick and we were bad. Now, that was a bad draft because we picked Thomas Robinson instead of Damian Lillard. But that's bad.
That's not the point here.
That's not the point here. But, like, yeah, you look back at the Kings' history, they moved up for Keegan Murray. And we moved up. No, actually, when we had the De'Aaron Fox pick, that was because we were supposed to get the 3rd pick. But because we made a trade, Vlade Divac made a trade.
Yeah.
It was not a smart trade. Anyway, and he did a pick swap with Philadelphia. So that's why we moved up to get the 3rd pick, but we actually moved down to the 5th pick to get De'Aaron Fox.
Who was the 3rd pick that Philly ended up drafting?
Jason Tatum. No, that's because Philly had the 3rd pick, and for some crazy reason, they went to Boston, who had the number 1 pick, and said, Boston, we'll give you all these other stuff if you give us the number 1 pick, because Philadelphia wanted Markelle Fultz. So they went and got Markelle Fultz, and Boston Celtics were like, yeah, the Lakers want Lonzo Ball at number 2. We want Jason Tatum. We'll go down to 3, take all your assets, and we'll take Jason Tatum. But the Kings, if they would have had the 3rd overall pick, could they have gotten Jason Tatum?
My life is constant pain and suffering, and I will never know happy.
I mean, De'Aaron Fox was probably the 2nd best pick out of that whole draft, the top 7 there. Like
100%.
that was not a bad draft. We got lucky there in the 5th pick getting De'Aaron Fox. But, like, that just shows, like, this could happen more and more where you get some bad teams, and they are just bad for a really long time because...
How long have the Wizards been bad?
When was the last time the Wizards made the playoffs?
Let me Google it for you. When
it's been a
was
while.
The last
Now,
time?
next year, I think they might be actually pretty good because they just traded for Trae Young and Anthony Davis, but we have no idea if they're going to be any good.
I think they're going to be injured to high heaven. The Wizards made the playoffs in the 2020-2021 season.
Okay.
So it's been about 5 years.
Okay.
And if all
But
these...
you also look at the Chicago Bulls, who have been in the middest of mid teams for like so long. Like, they're just going to continue to be a mid team, and that's why the Kings are like, we're finally tanking because you don't get good players unless you get in the top 3 or 4.
And guess what? So, frankly saying, so here's my proposal for stopping tanking. Get rid of the draft lottery. Pull in NFL. No draft lottery. If you're the worst team in the league, you get the best pick.
Oh, no, you're going to have even more draft.
I don't care.
You're going to have even more
I
draft.
don't care.
Okay. That's Max's opinion. You're going to have even more. If I was to be objective, out of the 3 proposals, the only one I like is number 1, which is 18 teams. And
You get the 2-year rule in?
bring the 2-year rule in because you take the bottom 10, everybody gets 8. So then if you're looking at that, where the Kings are right now, and you're like, they're the 4th, you really want to fall back down into the 3rd. Here, if you have 10 all being equal, and bring in the 2-year rule. I'm okay with that. I kind of like the 2-year rule because if you're bad for 2 years in a row,
Okay, here's a good player.
you should you should have more odds, in my opinion. So, if you're that bad, because like I'm thinking the Kings might be bad for multiple years in a row. Now the other part is I don't love about number 1 is all 18 spots would be drawn as part of the lottery
So that means you could go from 1
to 18.
So, and also my thought of that as well is sort of how I said before. Would rigging happen if, let's say the Lakers just barely missed the playoffs, or the Celtics just barely missed the playoffs one year? Oh, they suddenly have the 1 pick. And who do we let fall on the short end of the stick?
So if you look back at last year's draft, now the Mavericks moved up big time.
Yeah.
Okay. But who was the worst team last year? Was that the Jazz? I think it was the Jazz.
Yes.
No, they ended up with the 5th pick, right? Okay. And they ended up with Ace Bailey. Who's Ace Bailey? We just mentioned him in the top 10 of rookies. Okay.
He's not bad.
He's not bad, and he could be pretty good. So he's a good to decent player, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're the Jazz last year, you could fall down to 18 and get Walter Clayton Jr.
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Okay, and just play with it. The 16th pick was Yang Hansen. He's a Chinese player. 17th was Jan Berenger. I think I'm saying his name. I hope it's Jan. And you got Walter Clayton, I just said. 19 is Nolan Trior. 20 is Kasparis. So you're one of the worst teams in the league, and you want to go get a Cooper Flag of Dylan Harper, and you might be getting Walter Clayton Jr. Now, he might be a decent player. Sorry, I don't know. He actually was traded to the Utah Jazz. I see. I don't like that. The Hall 18. So I don't think that either one of these 3 proposals are going to go fully in. I think they're going to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and come up with the final thing. I don't want to.
Don't include the play-in teams or the play-off teams for that fact.
Well, I'm okay with the 18, and I like that the bottom 10 all have equal odds. I also like it over 2 years. So like I'm okay with that. But I don't like having all 18 spots. Now, what's the how many spots do you pick? Is it 4? Is it 4? Is it 5? Is it 6? Is it 7? I don't know. Because that would make madness out of the NBA draft lottery.
Yeah.
And the top 5 picks traditionally, top 2 or 3, are usually your best players. They're like the franchise-changing players. And so when you play around with this, how are you supposed to build a team if you're the Sacramento Kings or the Charlotte Hornets
Or the Utah Jazz or the
you're not a team that's going to go get free agents.
Mm-hmm.
And one of your best things right now is to go, we're going to suck for a couple years and we're going to lose so that we can get a good draft pick. That's the best way to get good players. And if I feel like Adam Silver is going to have it, there's going to be 2 or 3 teams that are just going to be stuck perpetually as a horrible team if this goes into effect. And I hope and pray it's not the Sacramento Kings. Okay, anything else you want to talk about tanking? Because I think I've talked out.
I hate it. I hope it dies. These real proposals not taking itself.
Adam Silver.
I don't think you can ever kill tanking.
Adam Silver is so adamant against this tanking. Now, the other thing they did say is Adam Silver said that he will have more right to fine teams and the possibility of messing with your draft pick if you legitimately tank, as in like outright tank, like some of these teams are doing. Like he said he might take your draft pick and move it to the end of the first round if you blatantly tank, or at the end of the lottery. So if you're the Utah Jazz have already got fined, was it $300 or $500,000?
So imagine, let's say the Indiana Pacers, who are sort of blatantly tanking, but for example, them. You drop. Let me just look at the mock draft for this year specifically. You would go from AJ DeBonsa at the number 1 pick. Let's go all the way
to 14.
To 14, you get
Hans Steinbach.
Who?
He's a 6'11" freshman out of Washington.
Who? Let's jump all the way to the bottom. You get Amari Allen from Alabama. He's a 6'8" small forward. That seems like a little harsh, in my opinion. I feel
Adam Silver is so against, but I do think you are 100% correct that this tanking, and why is he so against it now? It's money.
The answer is money. It'll always be money. It always has been money.
Adam Silver's, they're probably tying it. It could be betting odds and all the stuff they're making money off of. TV ratings, all of that stuff. I do think it's 100%, 1,000% tied back to money is why he's so against this.
That's why he implemented the in-season tournament for money. In my opinion, the in-season tournament should just be a giant March Madness bracket that the entire NBA is in.
Okay. Hey, can we say that for a second?
What?
Okay, we'll get to another future podcast about Seattle and
Las
Las
Vegas,
Vegas coming
yeah.
in. Now it's not 100%, but at least they've said, hey, well, this is the two we're going to focus on.
Yes.
When you have 32 teams, you can have a 32-team March Madness bracket.
My proposal: you just take the basically the playoff standings as they are then, and that's the seeding for March Madness. Go.
Can you imagine a week where it's literally March Madness style? That would be so awesome.
And then
All 32 teams, single elimination.
have that during the All-Star break.
No, I like the December idea because it brings it in the middle of December to get some attention to the NBA in the middle of December.
But just like that would be fun.
Yeah, so like you lock in the thing, and maybe you have a regional where all the teams know that they're traveling to one location. And I don't know if you make it somehow, if it's 2 locations or 4, or just spread it around, and like you know that all these teams are going to go there, and like a week before, and you lock the odds, and whatever your rankings are at that point, that's your seeding in the league, and go for it. Now, if they want to do 1 through 16 on the West and 1 through 16 on the East, and the winner play each other, or just do 1 through 32 in the whole league, I'd be 1 for 32. But you could totally do that for your in-season tournament. Make it a true tournament. Anyway, that's some of my thoughts for expansion. We'll have a future episode about expansion.
We'll talk about that in later details. But moving on from that, moving on from basketball in Sacramento area.
Yes.
How are Niners doing?
Niners, they haven't done a whole lot recently. They signed one offensive lineman.
We've gone into the mellow period of the off-season after free agency, obviously.
Yeah, so we signed one offensive lineman in the past week, Robert Jones from Miami. Now, he played with Miami last year, but I don't think he played for Miami, but he was a starter the year before. I want to say it was the Patriots. I don't know if that's right or not. But he was on a team last year, and the Miami picked him up, but he was injured all season, and so we got him on the cheap with that. Brian Robinson is officially gone from the Niners. I kind of wish we could have re-signed him, but like I kind of
although he did join the other B. Robinson running back in the Falcons, so
that's gonna be.
I pray for fantasy drafters everywhere.
B. Robinson from the Falcons. You got B. John and Brian. Yeah, that's
flip a coin.
Yeah,
or actually pay attention to what you're doing, or flip a coin.
Did you ever hear that there was a case?
Yes.
Jared Verse.
Jared Verse?
Was it Jared Verse? In the actual NFL draft, the Raiders drafted the wrong player.
Oh, I have heard about that.
Yeah, and then the Rams picked, I think it was Jared Verse, the correct Jared Verse. I don't know, was it 6-8 picks later? And the other Jared Verse was a draftable guy, and I think he was supposed to be a 6th round pick, but he ended up being a 3rd because the Cowboys, I think it was the Cowboys. Was it Cowboys or Raiders?
I'm pretty sure Raiders. That makes sense.
Picked the wrong Jared Verse, and then the Rams picked the right one, and he's way better than the other one. But I thought that was... Anyway, talking about drafting the wrong player, it literally happened in the NFL draft. Okay. That's the only Niners news we have. We'll probably have a future episode later as a draft prep thing.
I think the Niners are sort of done making big moves, in my opinion. They signed Mike Evans. They've bolstered the offensive line. They've re-signed Eddie Pinheiro. They've re-signed Jake Tonjes. I don't think we're going to go after another tight end unless it's in the draft. I don't think we're going to go after a lot of these big positions.
There's a lot of good tight ends in the draft,
but,
so I can see him drafting one.
2 things I want to talk about.
Okay.
For this, because they're...
I want to hear you say Osia Odigizua. You forgot Osia Odigizua. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I refuse to say his name until for later dates. To be determined. There are 2 names that I think are sort of in trade talks, which is weird. I don't really believe the first one is in I'll say the second one isn't. I'll say him first. I don't believe the first one is trade talks. I sort of talked about with you earlier. Myles Garrett.
Yes.
I've heard little whispers that there's interest. Of course, there's always interest.
I mean, how would you not? Defensive Player of the Year. I mean,
of the Niners trading for Myles Garrett. And the main thing is because he restructured his contract with the Browns, which Nick Bosa did 2 years ago, and then we didn't trade Nick Bosa. But how is this any different?
But that makes it so that, and they pushed back his signing bonus till September. So if you trade between him and now, if the Niners were to trade for him, his salary cap hit for this coming season would only be $8 million.
So of course I'd love Myles Garrett, But my question for the Niners is, how much would you have to give up for Myles Garrett? Because
If Micah Parsons got 2 firsts,
yes, Micah Parsons got 2 firsts. He definitely gets 2 firsts. Maybe 2 firsts, at least a second.
yeah,
And then maybe like a third and a fourth. You like basically think about what the Niners. I'm thinking what the Niners traded for Trey Lance to go and draft Trey Lance. That's what we're going to trade for Myles Garrett. But like, if you're going to trade Myles Garrett, you're probably going to give up a player, right? You're not just going to give up Myles Garrett and not get anybody in return. Like, you're going to get draft picks in return, 100%. But like, who are the Niners going to give up that the Browns would say yes to in this as well? Which makes this sort of unrealistic for me, in my opinion, for all this stuff. But I'd say it's about the same amount of realistic as the next player, of
Okay.
Max Crosby, because
Yeah,
he was going to be traded to the Ravens, and then the Ravens backed out of the trade because he failed his physical, which you knew he had a broken knee. Everyone did, but that's not the point here. Now he's back on the Raiders technically, but do the Raiders even still want him at this point? But now the Raiders, they signed all these players. They signed all this offensive line, and they had literally like almost the worst offensive line last year. Ashton Genty died back there. Ashton Genty. I don't know if I said that right, but it's just like, if you're the Raiders now and you're going to have, what's his name? Just won the Heisman, just won.
Oh, Mendoza, the quarterback?
Yes.
Fernando Mendoza.
Fernando Mendoza. I was thinking Tyler Mendoza. And I'm like, that's not right.
Yes, Fernando Mendoza.
Fernando Mendoza. He's probably most likely going to go to the Raiders, right?
Yep, okay. Mm-hmm.
Do you want to have an experienced veteran to like, maybe this team could be good next year if you're the Raiders? It's like, because it could happen. You could pull a Washington Commanders type thing, and you draft the right player, and then suddenly everything clicks with your team. Or are you going to try to get more future draft picks so you can be better in the future as well and trade away Max Crosby? So that's the thing of my conundrum with this. I think it's about the same likeliness of happening, which is 0%, but same-ish likeliness of happening for the Niners to trade for either one of them, because the Browns are way farther away, in my opinion, than the Raiders are from being good, because the Raiders actually made moves. The Browns are the Browns, so they don't really do anything.
Well, first off, I would take Myles Garrett over Max Crosby.
100%. I agree.
Okay? I mean, he just won the Defensive Player of the Year, so how could you not want Myles Garrett on your team?
Uh-huh.
And because he restructured your contract, he fits. So the Cleveland Browns restructured him the same way the Niners restructure, where they pushed out, they do the signing bonus for basically your yearly salary gets in a lump sum. And so he now fits into kind of more of a Niner type contract that they do for the big players. So you're trading him for that. And again, like I said, I think it's roughly $8 million he would take against the salary cap this year. So we have the room. The other interesting thing about the Cleveland Browns is they're proposing that NFL teams can trade up to 5 years in the future draft picks. So would you trade, like the NBA does, a first this year, a first in 2 years, or be 3 years, and a first in 5 years for Max Crosby? So in the middle years, you still have a first-round pick, but you're still trading 3 first-round picks for Myles Garrett.
I'm not against it. I'm sort of neutral on this. It's just like,
so people are thinking, are the Browns saying you can do this because they want to have that many rounds of draft picks to go get from people for Myles Garrett? I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Totally interesting thought. I don't know where this is going. I mean, who would not want Myles Garrett in your team? I mean, I would think 31 teams would want Myles Garrett in your team. Even why don't the Cleveland Browns want him on their team?
I think they do want him on their team. They also just want, they want assets that they can get from him, because you can't have just Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
And right now the Browns have just Myles Garrett.
Yeah, they don't. They need to have a better team around
Yes.
him. So he how old is Myles Garrett? Is he 28, 29? I mean, he's still in his.
He is 30.
So he's still in his prime, but he's at the top end of his prime for a
Yes.
defensive player. So again, you probably have 2-3 years before a defensive player starting to start to slow down. So like if you're going to get your maximum money out of a defensive player, the reigning defensive player of the year, it's no. So I don't know if this is going to happen, but interesting thought.
Just thoughts that could happen for the Niners.
Okay, so other football thoughts. UFL season is starting up, so our
Yes.
Birmingham Stallions.
Our Birmingham Stallions, yes. Even though we live in California.
Yeah, and if you look at the map of where all UFL teams is, like the closest team, I think, is the Texas teams or St. Louis, Texas, closest to us? They're probably about the same.
I think it's Houston is technically the closest.
No, Dallas would be closer than Houston.
Right, Dallas, but
Anyway.
we're not ready for Dallas.
Anyway, so we picked, if you go back to a previous episode, we talked about the Stallions because they had the same color scheme as the Niners. So we picked them, and then they won 3 championships in a row. So, yeah, we kind of did a pretty good pick. Anyway, they have some interesting new rule changes for the UFL this season.
Okay.
And we want to see what Max thinks on whether the NFL should do any of these. Some of these, I think, are a little bit more of the the NFL's going to be like, yeah, you guys have that for your spring league. There's no way we're doing this.
You guys have your fun.
Yeah, the no punting rule. Teams cannot punt once you cross the opponent's 50-yard line.
I sort of like that rule in the fact of kickers are so good in the NFL right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not like Cam Little, like Evan McPherson, like Brandon Aubrey. They all have monster legs.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like, if you get past the 50, you basically can make a field goal now, right?
Almost. Some teams, yeah.
Like most teams
Uh-huh.
can make a field goal at that point because they have kickers with monster legs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just saying that, okay, you got to go get your points. You got to earn it now. Instead of just, it makes it more exciting, makes it more interesting. I'm not opposed to it.
Which the other thing is I watched the this morning, turned it on before we came to the podcast a couple hours ago. It was see if I get their names right. Houston Gamblers versus the Dallas Renegades. They were playing on TV. So let's watch the game. This rule went into effect, which was a very interesting rule. Mm-hmm. So what happened is they crossed the 50-yard line and got the ball to about the 47.
Uh-huh.
I think that was on first or second down. On third down, they fumbled the ball back to their 40. And they still had to go for it on fourth down.
Dang.
And so it's like as soon as you cross, now there's even if you go backwards with a negative play, you still have to go for it on fourth down.
Don't mess up.
You cannot mess up.
Just
and
don't
punt.
mess up. It's that simple.
So that's an interesting rule. Okay, along those lines, there is now a 4-point field goal where if you make a successful field goal beyond 60 yards, it's now worth 4 points. Is this the Brandon Aubrey rule? Because Brandon Aubrey came out of the UFL.
Okay. My opinion on this is also why, sort of my opinion with why there shouldn't be a 4-point line in basketball. And if there is, it should be the half-court line. But in football, we already have all these people making all these crazy kicks, and we're just seeing them come up to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to implement a new rule, and all these young kids who are seeing all of these kickers already make these monster kicks can now train from 60 yards out. I'm like,
So that means you're kicking from the 50-yard line.
Yes, you're
so that means basically the ball is across the 50. Now at that point, you're kicking, and if you kick from that point, you get 4 points.
So, in my opinion, I don't really like this rule because kickers are too good nowadays.
Yeah.
I understand wanting to reward them for being really good, but the reward is being able to get 3 yards from basically anywhere, 3 points from basically anywhere on the field.
Well, and the argument against this, I've heard some people in the NFL argue against this, is because let's say you're a team and you get the ball at, say, the 20.
Uh-huh.
You march the ball to the 45-yard line or 40-yard line or roughly 45, and you kick it. You only moved the ball 35 yards.
Uh-huh.
And you get more points than if you move the ball from the 20 all the way down to the 5-yard line. So you had to move all that distance, and then you only get 3 for your kick. Like, should it have anything to do with how far you had to travel with your drive?
I don't think we should change how field goals work.
I don't think so either. But anyway, it's an interesting rule. Rule. Okay, it's fun to talk about. They have banned the tush push.
The NFL already had meetings about.
No, they did not talk about it this year.
They didn't have meetings at all about the tush push this year, so I don't think the NFL is even going to consider this, and neither will I. I don't really care that much about the tush push. The answer for the tush push, if you're really mad about it, stop it.
Yeah, but
it's that simple.
Well, the part that I don't like about the tush push is it's hard to referee the game, and there's lots of plays now where the Philadelphia Eagles are moving before they snap the ball. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if you have to work on the refs can't judge that of who moves first, and they get so close. Like, do you have to have some sort of a?
I think there should be, in my opinion, and I don't know if this is controversial, you either A, get more on-field referees, B, let referees be able to call penalties that didn't happen after the play because you're not going to call it like seconds during the play, or C, you'll have referees that are able to look at the live camera shots.
Yeah, I think
in
there should
booths.
be. I think there should be a ref in the booth, and he can call a flag. And he has, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds to call a flag after the play's over. Okay, another new rule. They're bringing in the 1 foot catch rule. Basically, NC, so college has 1 foot on the catch. They're bringing it to the UFL, so you don't have to have 2.
Good for them. I don't. It's like I like the 2 foot rule for the NFL. Now, catching itself is confusing, but I like the 2 foot rule.
Okay.
I'm fine with it being separated.
I think you should have. I think the UFL should be doing 2. Like, come on, if you want the players to be ready for the NFL and they want to be able to move up, why are you going down to the 1 foot rule? I disagree with that one. Red zone penalties. This is interesting. Penalties inside the red zone are forced to half the distance to the goal. Doesn't matter the penalty. All of them are half the distance to the goal.
I disagree with that. Some guy rips your head off with a face mask, and it's like,
That's the same as offsides?
Yeah.
Yeah. PAT options. So now the team has different point effort attempts options. You can go for 1 point PAT with an actual 33-yard field goal. So in the past, the 1 point field goal was like you start the ball at the 2-yard line. Now the 2-yard line is 2 points for PAT, and the 3-pointer is at the 8-yard line.
Okay.
So you have still have the 3-point PAT, but you can get 1 with a 33-yard field goal.
I don't.
Which is I like the NFL's is like a 30-yard field goal.
I think like I've said for a lot of these, you can keep some of these crazy rules in, or what you've said. You can keep some of these crazy rules in the spring football. I don't think we should mess with like how many points you get for PATs. Like, cool, fun spring league, UFL. You're having different rules to get more engagement and viewership. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
But like for the actual NFL, that's like
no, they're not going to do that. Yeah, they also had a kickoff change, but I don't really want to cover that. The 4-point field goal is an interesting one. Is how do coaches coach the end of the game? From a coaching perspective, I'm thinking about this. Like, okay, if you're coaching and you're down by 4, in the past that was automatically got to go for a touchdown. But if you're down by 4 before you get to a touchdown, do you go for a 60-yard field goal?
Okay, here's my thought.
And do they count the 60-yard field goal if the ball, because normally they place the ball about 7 to 8 yards back. If you're kicking a 59-yard field goal or 58, do you move the kicker back 2 more yards to kick a 60 at any chance, like up to like 10 yards? Like, how far back can you put the kicker to get?
Here's my thought. So I remember watching the Thursday night primetime game this season, this last NFL season, with the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
And you know how that game ended? Was because Arizona failed the kickoff to land into the kicking zone. If that happens, you essentially get 4 free points, right? Because kickers these days are already so good.
Because you put the ball at the 40 at that point.
Yeah. And what made it so interesting is that, like, they already have they already moved it up to like the 40. Now you just have to move it up a little bit more, so it's an easier kick, and then you go and win the game still. Now imagine that exact same scenario, but now you're down by 3 points instead. Instead of going to you're down by 4 points instead of the game being essentially over with 20 seconds or less. Now a team can suddenly win the game because they didn't pass a certain line. If anything, I think this is like the opposite of, like we were saying, is they have to get closer to get rewarded.
And my other thought is okay, so if you're at the end of the game, and let's say the ball's at the 30-yard line, you're down by 4, and you got like maybe 10 seconds to go. You're down by 4. Are you going for the touchdown? Or at the 30-yard line, can you move it, kick it back so the kicker, like, hike the ball back 20 yards, and the kicker kick from the 50, which would be a 60-yard field goal? Can you hike the ball from the 30, throw it back that far, and have a 60-yard field goal to go for the
giant lateral?
A giant lateral, just hike the ball to somebody. He turns around, throws it back to the other guy. He sets it down, and you kick it for the 60-yard field goal. Is that a legal play?
I don't know.
That's why I think this is where the UFL is going to have a little fun, and I think in a spring league you got to have some fun rules.
Yeah.
I get their point there, but I don't think the NFL is going to come in. So. Okay, I don't know if any of these rules are coming to the NFL, but they are some interesting things to think about here. Okay, anything else football-wise to talk about?
I do not have anything else to talk about. We're about to hit the hour mark on our podcast. I feel like it'd be nice to have a almost exactly hour-long podcast. So I'm going to see if I can edit it down to that much.
Okay, but we have some editing things that we always drop out at the beginning.
Yeah.
So it probably won't be exactly an hour. But anyway, thanks for listening. If you're listening this part, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. We'll have some other future podcasts coming over the next couple of weeks. We have the next one we're trying to schedule. Should be a super fun one.
Yes.
For people that know us and stuff like that. So it'll be a special edition of the Eastman Sport Report.
Yes.
And then we'll have a couple other episodes here leading up to the NFL draft coming up soon, and more talk about the Sacramento Kings and where they end up.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think that wraps us up for this episode of the Eastman Sport Report. We thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.